I've got Tyrese Dolan, Sigerson.
He could have a massive. Say one and then just go on to the next one after. Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. Dad, what are we doing today then?
Well, before we start, right, at this particular moment in time, there's talk of Carlos walking.
Yeah, we've done this on the Friday night. Of course, it's the day of the championship season starting. Looking forward to it, aren't you?
Oh, can't wait. Tell you what, I've slept like a baby all week. I bet tonight I won't sleep that well.
Yeah, big game tomorrow.
Everybody's got to be up early tomorrow, haven't they?
Exactly,
for the big kick-off. I think Portsmouth have got to go to Leeds, and that's a trick. Anyway, as you were saying before I rudely interrupted you, we're going to do our prediction of where the teams are going to finish at the end of this glorious EFL Championship.
And we're quickly going to state to you guys, right, it's all opinions, isn't it? It's all opinion based. And make sure to get involved on the comments, because we love the comments, don't we, Dad?
Yeah, hey, listen, all it is, it's me and you having a chit chat. We love the Albion, and we just want everybody else's point of view, good, bad, or indifferent.
And we're not right. We never know.
Oh, we've never been right in anything, have we?
Right then, let's get started then.
Before we start, can I ask you a quick question, by the way?
Because
I'm sorry about that. If you had the chance, would you rather A, play for Great Britain in the Olympics and get a gold medal, or B, win the Champions League with Albion? And you're the captain.
I think you can tell he's been watching the Olympics.
And you're the captain, and you'll be lifting the Champions League for Albion.
Champions League. Every day of the week.
Really?
Yeah, every day of the week. I think you got it, really, ain't you?
Put it out there, because I'll be really intrigued.
Yeah, make sure to put it down in the comment section below. What's your opinion?
I hate to say it, but I think it'll be Portsmouth.
Portsmouth?
Yeah.
Why is
I
that?
just think it's going to be a real big struggle this season from the leap up. Don't get me wrong, with the new signings, as we were talking about, who's the manager?
It is Jose Mourinho. John Mourinho.
Hey?
John Mourinho's been like that, yeah.
John Mourinho. Now, I'll tell you what, it's not that I don't dislike Portsmouth.
John Mourinho.
I just think it's going to be too much of an ask.
Oh yeah, I'll come on to Portsmouth later in the video. I'm not going to say yet, but I think with Portsmouth, in my opinion, I think they do all right this season. I feel like they've got a lot of decent signings on their hands, and I think from coming up from champions from League One, it's going to be a really interesting season for them. However, I've gone for Oxford in 24th place.
That's really, before going for play up Pompey, go on. So I'll cross Portsmouth up my list to go down.
I've gone for Oxford, and I feel like with Oxford, I think everyone's going to say, yep, they're definitely going to go down. They're going to finish last, no chance. I don't agree with that. I've gone for them just because I feel maybe have the weakest squad in general, but they made some good signings. I did Matt Phillips signing, Will Volks.
That's what I mean.
They've made some good little signings, but I think overall, I think they have, let's say, the weakest squad. Because I lost Josh Murphy, who's gone to Pompey, for example, and that's a massive, massive loss to Des Buckingham's side.
Yeah, you know what? I agree with that, because 23rd, just above Portsmouth in mine are Oxford.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I just think that it's been a massive ask to get them where they are. I think to maintain that is a bit too much for them.
Mind you, for them to get into the championship is a massive statement in itself, isn't it?
You know what? I was only thinking about this the other day. Unless you prove me wrong, I don't think I've been to the Kassam Stadium. I went to the old Manor Ground, Oxford.
Oh, really?
I've been to them because
I've been there.
Apparently this is the last season at the Kassam. They're having a new stadium then.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Next one, I've got one that people may not agree with. I've gone for Blackburn.
Oh, that's great.
It is a very, very, very. I think my whole prediction.
What on earth has made you do that?
I just feel like I think it's over like half the goals last season. It's been from Sammy Smodis, like I said to you earlier, and I feel like with Blackburn, they might struggle just because if they lose that Sammy Smodis goal tally in their team, there's a massive gap.
There's massive
and
void,
I can't see. I like players like Tyrese Dolan and of course Sam Gallagher's left, so they're not going to have another goal scorer there. I feel like players like Tyrese Dolan won't be able to step up to the plate, and they could really, really struggle. And let's be honest, they were very lucky to stay up last season.
Yeah, you raise a good point there, because they never filled the gap from Berthan Diaz, really, did they? And now they've got another one, the goal scorer. Plus, there was talk that the manager was going to walk last season.
That was Thomas Dawson, now John Eustace, isn't it?
So I think to myself now, it was John Eustace, he was getting a bit rattled.
Really?
Yeah. Anyway,
and of course, last point on Blackburn I was going to say is of course the Venkies, the whole surrounding that situation about them. They're not the biggest fan of them. Make sure if you're watching Blackburn fans, what do you think of your owners?
a bit harsh though.
I'm not a Blackburn fan, so I don't know loads, but apparently they want them gone. That's what I've been hearing.
The Venkies?
Yeah.
Been there a few years.
They have been there many years, but of course I don't think they're pumping all the money into the club.
Oh no.
And they feel like with the squad they've got, they can pretty much get into Premier League.
The parachute payments finished, didn't they? Way
many
longer.
years ago.
In 22nd place, with great regret, would be Hull City. Now, I know you're going to pour scorn on it, right? I just think that they're going to struggle mainly because under Rossonier's stewardship, they got the best out of the players. I know there's been comings and goings in the transfer market.
I'm going to be honest with you. I can see what you've done there, and I think we spoke about this earlier, guys. They've lost a lot of players, haven't they?
Yeah,
I think it's over they've had 13 players leave, something like that. Like, for example, I think 2 fans gone, and you're thinking to yourself, you lost your manager, you're losing a lot of players, and that's why you put them there.
You know, I actually think it's going to backfire on them. I think. I've got nothing against Hull. It's just my opinion. I'd rather be honest, but I think Hull will struggle. I really do.
Wow. I've gone for Derby.
I think 22nd.
22nd. The last team to go down will be Derby. In this one, I feel
You've been looking at my list.
No, I think we have the same ones. I think we've got one the same. Pretty
go
sure.
on.
I've gone for Derby, and I think again it's pot luck. It could be any of them, but I've chose Derby just for the reason that I feel like they're especially weak in the midfield area. I feel like the sign of Ebu Adams, who in my opinion is a good little player on his day. I feel like they're missing some key players. I think like the idea of selling some players to Bristol City, Josh Knights and Max Bird. I just feel like with Derby, they maybe need a couple more signings. They could make many more signings in the transfer window, but they're lacking something at the moment. And Paul Warren, in my opinion, has just got realistically keep them up this season. They could.
Yeah, I think Paul Warren will struggle. Max Bird going to particularly, they're going to be in trouble. That's why I'll put Derby 21st.
Oh, really?
I think it's going to be a bridge too far with them. I think like you say, the key players have gone, and it worries me for Derby.
That's my worry.
I like them though, Derby. We've got them New Year's Day.
Exactly. They always beat us, don't they?
The Rams.
Right then, the team today, for my opinion, as you said, Derby, I'm going for Plymouth in 21st place.
And that's strange.
Yeah, it's going to be really, really close. I think.
Why Plymouth then?
Plymouth, I feel like under Rooney could be a shaky start. I know Rooney, he had a really torrid time at Birmingham. I'm not too sure about him in general, especially with his win percentage. And I felt, let's be honest, last season, they had a really good start to the season. They tailed off quite a lot, didn't they? And then you got to look at properly with the Plymouth side going into the season. And they might lose someone like Whittaker, for example, who scored a lot of goals from last season, didn't they?
I'll tell you what, they heavily relied upon him. I just think that it's an interesting one because with Rooney in charge, right, his remit is to pick him up.
Yeah.
So I think it might well be a godsend for him. I think that they're going to, for me, I'll put Plymouth 20th. But I think, because I think if it's now or never for Rooney, and if you can't keep these up, then I think his managerial career is finished. I mean, all right, he's done us a favour at the Blues. Sorry, Bruno. But yeah, I wish him well. But I thought that Plymouth really badly tailed off, and they've got more or less the same squad. Yeah,
and then weirdly enough, I've put Portsmouth where you put Plymouth. So I'll put them in 20th. And I think with John Massinio's side, I'm sorry to butcher that again, guys, but I feel like with Portsmouth this season they won the Champions, and I feel like coming into the Championship, they've been there for ages, you know what I mean? They've got, realistically, not much expectation to stay up. The team's coming up from the League One. So for me, Portsmouth had a really good side last season. I feel like it could hopefully stay up and kick on. It should be a brilliant away day, may I just say.
Yeah, well, it will. I've been there many times before, and it's a good weekend away. However, I think we're there on Sunday, aren't we? The only reason I'm doing I'm saying what I'm saying with my placings is because the EFL, right, is getting harder and harder. Outside of the Premiership, right, it's one of the most watched leagues in the world.
Yeah, definitely. And you got to think like that. Do you remember Matt Ritchie?
Name rings a bell.
Yeah, but he's from Newcastle, Bournemouth. He signed for Portsmouth, and what a signing that is. I think, wow, some really good recruitment from Portsmouth when you look at it.
Mine, right, I put 19th, and I'm sorry because I know we've got a lot of fans there. He's Bristol City.
Bristol City, what that?
I just think the biggest thing that they've done, they've sold their best players season in, season out.
Semenyo and Alex Scott.
Yeah, that's what my notes suggest. Scott particularly, he was the heartbeat. But however, we have got he's one of our own, Taylor Gardner Hitman, still there. But I just think that under Nigel Pearson, you know, he's gone now. That was a real good machine. I think they're going to struggle this season.
Okay, that's an interesting one. For 19th,
sorry, Bristol fans.
I've gone for Kenny. Listen, I hope you're better season. I've gone Millwall.
No,
I've gone Millwall.
Moo. How dare you?
Listen. They will stay up.
That is bad.
And
you're going to regret Ken. I'll have a word with him later.
I think the son of I think it was Langstaff. I think it's a really good sign from Notts County. Be an interesting one for him. I just feel like with Millwall, they need to at the moment settle. They did really well under Gary Rowett, of them, you know, realistically being a Championship side and pushing for the playoffs. And they've sacked him, and they've kind of gone backwards a bit. Yeah. When they brought in, I think it was the former Young England manager, I forgot his name was, back last season. But then they, of course, brought Neil Harris back. He's kept them up, and I've got a feeling it'll be a bit of a transition season again.
Yeah.
Maybe getting some of the deadwood out and then bringing realistically the players like the likes of Tanganga in on a permanent, for example. And for this season, hopefully they can kick on. But what do you think, Millwall fans, Dad?
You know something, you've really surprised me there, because I've put Millwall to finish 14th.
We'll come to them in a minute. Who's your next one, 18th?
18th is Cardiff.
Cardiff.
I think it's their season. In fact, I was potentially going to have them to go down, based on the fact that there's some key players gone, and Callum Robinson, he'll be going soon. So I think, I think they're going to struggle.
Funny you say that. This is the only one we've got the same. I've gone for Cardiff as well, and that's just because I feel like, again, I think Ballou's had a really, really good season last season as a first season management there, and the likes of Chrissy Willock have come in, for example. And in my opinion, at times they didn't look a half bad side. At the start of the season, like under likes of Carl and Grand, Robbo connects. He's playing really well last season. Robbo's at stages, but now he's fallen out of love with the fans. I think players like that, they might have to move on, because Cardiff, realistically speaking, they used to always be pushing for the top of the table in Championship, but they just need to realistically consolidate and bring some good little signings in.
You know, you said a really good point there, because I thought probably about 2 seasons ago, Cardiff were looking good to go up in the playoffs at one stage, and then they imploded. They just need a bit of stability, and I think this season they're going to really struggle. I don't want them to. In fact, I don't want anybody to struggle, but and then 17th.
No, before we go 17th, I want to know, Cardiff fans, well, if you're watching, can Rambo keep it going next season?
I think he's going to struggle. I know he scored a worldie in the friendly.
That's right.
But I just think that when I saw him at the Hawthorns, he's got a footballing tactical brain, but his legs and his pace just haven't got it.
17th.
I'm going to say 18th. QPR.
What's that?
I just think that they were lucky not to go down in my eyes at one stage. They pulled some results out of the bag. Again, they're missing stability. Is Big Linden still with them?
Yeah.
He's injury prone, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. Yeah, I'll let you continue talking, but I feel with QPR, the last part of the season, I thought they were ace, and you'll probably see where I put them in later on in the video, guys. But I think there's a lot of comes from QPR this season.
Sam Field runs the show, and when we're there tomorrow, which I think for the way be a 1-1 draw, but that's for tomorrow's podcast. I actually think that QPR, I think, you know what, they're going to struggle financially as well, and I think you watch, there's going to be some terrible things in the transfer market for them.
And then I've gone for 17th on Stoke, the Potteries. Yeah, and I think it's interesting that I'm going to get a lot of stuff for that Ben and Peter. But I just feel like, again, it's a transition season.
How dare you drop one on Ben and Peter?
It was a bit turby from last season. I think the likes of, let's be honest, Schumacher's coming in. He looks okay, not the greatest.
I bet he regrets it.
And my worry is for Stoke. I always think when they bring in some of these signs, wow, Vidigal looks ace at points last season. But players like that, they don't always mix, especially when you bring in a whole new bunch of signings. And while they need to use their money well at points, I feel like this season it's a transition one, in my opinion.
Yeah.
That's why I put them there, because I feel like with Stoke, they hopefully can kick on, but I can't see them doing it just because I don't think the ship is steadied yet.
Yeah, the irony is, Dan, with that is that I'll put Stoke City 16th on mine, and I don't disagree with anything you've said there. I think if I remember rightly, there's been a change in the hierarchy at the top.
John Walton's
it's not Peter Coates anymore in charge. He's still within the family, but I think that, again, you know, you never ever used to associate Stoke with making bad signings. I mean, especially some of the day, you think the likes of Michael Owen, Crouchy, there's been, there's loads of different. Again, I think he'll get the boot, I do. Really? Early doors,
16th place, I've gone for Swansea. Swansea, they've got a couple of decent players in their team, and I feel like...
Are we playing them midweek again, or is it weekend?
I think it's weekend. Do look big up Swansea, by the way. I do a lot of times Swansea fans. But I feel like with Swansea, it might be a transitional period. I think Russell Martin was working something really good there, in my opinion. And I think this season again, there's nothing really to shout about. I would like to see them do well. I thought they brought in some decent signings last season, but for me, they just need maybe to give it like another transitional season, and hopefully they can push them from there.
Yeah, again, historically, they've had some fantastic managers as well, haven't they? They just can't seem to keep hold of it.
There's one player I really like is Ollie Cooper, but I feel like he again fades in and out, but I'm not too sure.
He's like a bit of a luxury player, he's Ollie Cooper, isn't he?
Next one?
Well, I'm actually up to 14th, but we've already said it would be Millwall, because I'm not going to upset Kenny, because I've got an affection for Millwall, so I'm going to move up.
All right, I'll go next then. I've gone for 15th. I've gone Hull. You've come to go down. I can see him again having a bit of a turby season. again, it's going to be transitional.
8 places different.
Just because, again, they could do really well on the new manager. I feel like the Sunderland are going to try and bring in, like Asante, like when they try to bring from Albion, it proves that they're going to go for these championship type quality players. With the owner they've got, they're going to spend quite a bit, so they could be a lot higher. You never know. But I just feel like with the players they've lost, it's going to be a bit hard to replace the likes of Fabio Carvalho. And I know they've brought in Ryan Giles, but again, unless Estupiñán's still there at the start of the season,
have they got the finances to back it all up?
Yeah,
because
I don't
think they have. Because why did Asante go to Coventry? It was purely personal terms.
Well, I think that's exactly, yeah. So realistically speaking, Hull fans, do you think you can finish in the top half of the season? I think you could do, we never know.
Interesting.
I'll go again then, 14th.
Go on.
I've gone Sheffield Wednesday. And that is just because, and I think you put them a bit higher, I feel like with Sheffield Wednesday, Danny Roll has an unbelievable job there. Everyone knows that. He's probably one of the best managers at the moment in the Championship. I just feel like maybe the quality might show through at some points. Like, he's playing really well with the players that he had when he first started Sheffield Wednesday. However, don't get me wrong, I think Chalobah would do well there. But I think I think he's just a Championship player. And I think if they had another step level of player, I think they'd go a lot higher in the table.
Very, very interesting.
I'll let you keep going.
Really. Well, now I'm up to 13th, and I'll put Norwich.
Really?
Yeah, I think they're going to, again, another team who are going to implode. I think that if they were going to do it, they should have gone up last season, really. I just think that, again, they'll have a chance.
They weren't good enough though, were they?
They weren't, no, and I think that...
What, do you think they'll lose some of their players then?
Yeah, I do, and I think the manager will get the boot.
Really?
Yeah.
I think it's his first season this
season. You heard it first.
Oh, yeah. For me, Norwich, I'll speak about them later, but I think if they lose their key players like Josh Sargent, for example, I know Johnny Rose signed a new deal, but...
So, again, Josh Sargent, he ran everything.
I know, yeah, but it's going to be interesting, Dan, so I don't disagree with you. 13th, Watford, this one here, it could be up and down. I think with Watford, they could be really far below, because Tom Cleverley...
Jakey's gone, isn't he?
Jakey's gone, yeah.
Paul Ince is still there.
Tom Ince thinks like a new deal, I'm pretty sure. With Watford, I feel like, again...
Strange side, aren't they?
They are a strange side. They play well some weeks and they aren't really connecting that much. And Tom Cleverley's got a big job in his hands. He had a good end to the season last season, I thought. Points they look really good, the Hawthorns, for example.
They looked outstanding.
But this season especially, I feel like if he can bring in the right number of players that realistically want to play for the shirt, that we haven't seen enough from Watford in past years, then they could do really well. But in my opinion, you get the luxury players at Watford that haven't been realistically hitting it on and off the pitch like a Sprilla. I think he's a great player, but I think he might be moving on just because he hasn't always hit it at Watford.
You know, the important thing to me that probably worries me is all the teams that we're mentioning now, it's subject to stability with the management team. Yeah. And you know what I'm getting at, don't you?
What?
Yeah.
Dad, 12th place who you gone for?
I've gone for Sunderland.
Sunderland?
Yeah, again.
I think his name is like Bogar, some of the new managers coming.
Yeah, I don't know much about him, but one thing I do know is, again, there's got such a massive fan base. And behind the scenes, the management, the owners, they don't seem to get it right. And for me, they're coming slowly down.
Really?
Yeah, I fear for Sunderland, actually.
Yeah, I feel like what they're missing is a big striker. I mean, I'll put them a bit higher, but I'll go about that in a bit. But I've gone for 12th, I've gone Preston. I feel like, again, it's going to be one of those seasons again with Preston.
Who's Preston star, man?
Again, I don't really think they have a star. I love Freddie Woodman in goal. I think he's a great keeper, but I feel like they need that standout striker because, in my opinion,
a bit like us, really.
Yeah, I feel like
they're a good footballing side.
Ryan Lowe, for me, in my opinion, I was about to say before you cut me out. It's fine, all right. Is Ryan Lowe? He's a really, really good manager, and for what he's done for Preston, I think they've got to respect the fact that where they are. To really see people like in the Premier League won't go, Preston, they're not that good. I think Preston are a good Championship side who always try to push for the Championship top 6, but always fall out. Like the idea of, I think Will Keane's a great striker, but they could probably go a bit ever. Yeah, they've got a superb fan base as well. I remember 2 seasons ago, it looked as if the locomotion was running through because they were due to go up, I thought, in my eyes. Yeah, guys, what do you think of Ryan Lowe? Take down in the comments for Dad. What do you think for the next one? Well, I'm up to number 11, and strangely enough, the Glory Hornet boys, Watford. I think that again, I get there. Again, I sound like a broken record. They've got a good nucleus of a squad, but I think that again, I think the manager will get the boot. Yeah, it's like a conveyor belt. It is a conveyor belt, Watford. I do completely agree with that. If they can get Tom Cleverley, can get him playing. Which at points last season, no manager could. It's like a poison chalice for me, Watford is. Whoever goes in there is going. I mean, look at Big Val. I bet they're like us. I bet they're still paying his wages. Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah. Next one, I've gone for Bristol City. What position? 11th. Bristol City in 11th. Bristol City. Don't get me wrong. I feel like this could be maybe a good season for him, I'll be honest.
Make or break, or do you think that's?
I think Liam Manning's had a big job in his hand as soon as Nigel Pearson left, and he's come in. I'll be honest with you, it's a young squad. But I feel like the signs I made with Max Bird, Josh Knight, and I think Taylor Garner and Hitman, that trio midfield especially, I think is really, really good. And the idea of cementing his foundation, a bit of a passing football, vertical side of things, I can see him doing decent this season. They've got some decent talent there.
It is key to that Max Bird, but one thing I couldn't help but think, I think that probably whatever happens there, good or bad, it's down to Nigel Pearson with it, because he's coached them in such a way, and now these disciplined players have a bit of freedom.
Yeah, because I feel like the idea of, let's be honest, Naki Wilds is a good player, but he's not out and out Champo worthy. That's what I mean. And I feel like if they bring, I think they bring on a new striker anyway, but if they bring another level player to their team, bingo. I think they could do really well this season.
Interesting.
Right, and again to the top 10, are we?
It's all about opinions. I'm going to get slated for this. In fact, I'm going to get sliced because it's the Blades. Finishing 10th. 10th? Again, I think the manager will get booted out. I think they haven't made that many marquee signings in my eyes, unless you're going to prove me wrong.
Well, I'm going to let you say that, because I think they have.
I don't think they have. I don't think they've got what I would call a Sheffield United player.
Really?
Prove me wrong then.
Prove me wrong. I'll tell you when I go into mine, but you're going to stick with that then? Anything else on them?
No.
I've gone for Sunderland in 10th. Sunderland, I do think it's 50-50. I think if Jack Clark can really prove his worth again this season, I feel like he could really have an okay, decent season.
To keep him.
Because I think they were unlucky last season with Mowbray. I feel like if he stayed the whole season, they probably could have stayed in the top 6.
Yeah,
I know they had a bit of a dodgy patch here and there, but like the idea of Dan Neil, I think Luke O'Nine's a brilliant player. If they can keep hold of Anthony Patterson in goal.
They don't seem to gel there, do they?
They sometimes don't, but I feel like on their day, Sunderland have got a really good squad, and realistically speaking, they could get that top 6.
Hey, by the way, on the subject of Tony Mowbray, I saw a picture of him, I think it was at some race meeting, Paul as well.
Yeah, definitely. Next one, 9th.
Preston.
Yeah. Going away from there.
Well, I'll tell you something. I just think that they lack something to get them into the top 5. So I think that for me, Preston are going to have an average season.
Do you think they'll miss Liam Miller on the wing?
100%.
He's a good player, and
he's a danger man. He brought all the ammunition in.
He, in fact, is about to sign for a Hull.
Yeah,
3 million, yeah. And I just feel like, again, I just feel like, and Preston fans disagree with me here, it's all because of Ryan Lowe that are there.
Yeah, I agree. Go on, you got 9th then?
9th, I've gone for Norwich. Norwich, and I feel like they've got the quality.
Why there then?
They've got the quality. Johnny Rowe. They've got Angus Gunn in goal, who's Scotland's number 1.
Yeah, but it can be Scotland's number 1. They've got to have that desire.
I think they're supporting Callum Dawn from Man City. They've got some good little players who, in my opinion, if they gel well, they're always going to be up there, aren't they?
It's a shame though, because we could say this about most teams, can't we? It's frightening that they've got 3 million. They're coming in from Hull. But
exactly. We're going for 8th place.
You're going to go mad. I'm going for Sheffield Wednesday.
Sheffield Wednesday, you're on the Danny Roll train, aren't you?
Yeah, should I tell you
He's on the Danny Roll train.
Should I tell you why though? When we were there, well, I don't know if it was a one-off, but goodness me, the stadium was literally bouncing, and the manager had seemed to turn everything round. And I've heard nothing but good things about the manager now.
I completely agree. I know I've put him a bit low, but my worry is keeping hold of Danny Rowe.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
That's my worry. And I feel like they've got some good players in there, don't be wrong. If Barry Bannon's keeping, I don't think he's going to keep going the whole season. But the idea of signing Ugbo, for example, back to the club for 3 million, what a signing that is, by the way, because really speaking, that's kind of where the goals are going to come from.
And I think the owner's got a point to prove. If he backs the manager and also ensures that he sticks to his contract, Sheffield Wednesday have got nothing but good things ahead for me.
Definitely. In 8th place, I've gone Middlesbrough. Don't get me wrong, I feel like they could easily get in that top 6. Michael Carrick, we all know, is a brilliant manager. I just feel like maybe they got some quality here and there that they're missing.
How many seasons has he been manager now? Is this his third season?
Same as Carlos, I think.
Is it?
Yeah. I think Finn Azad's a really good player for him. And I feel like the players they've got in general, I think Matt Clark on his day is a good player.
I like Matt Clark.
But the problem I have with Borough is I just don't see one of those like Akpom, Archer players in their team at this moment in time to say that's the reason why they're going to be in the top 6.
It's not a spark to get. Yeah, I'd agree.
You know what I mean?
Although when I saw them, not this last time, but last season, they sing the best footballing side I've seen.
But saying that,
they slipped a bit.
But saying that, if Latte Laff can keep up his form, Jasp, I think he could be on. Yeah, no, yeah. I feel like people like Latte Laff, if he's top goal scorer, they could be in that top 6 easy.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it.
7th, missing out just about on player.
Put Blackburn Rovers to finish 7th place. Where do you give them?
I'd put them second last. What? Listen, I completely agree if you want to put them there, but you've got to give your reasoning.
I just think that the players they've got in their squad just need to step up to the plate a bit. I mean, I've mentioned Dolan as one of their key players, but it's all about opinions.
It is. I think the likes of Sigurdsson, in example, he can provide something, but you're telling me Sammy Smollett and Sam Gallagher aren't a massive loss?
Of course they are, but I just think that the players that they've got are capable. Anyway, moving on. Come on.
I'll go my 7th.
Right.
And I've got Luton to miss out on the playoffs.
That's interesting. That's really interesting.
And it's just because I feel like, don't get me wrong, they had it. Let's be honest, I know they went down. They had a good season in my opinion in the Premier League. They beat some decent teams. And
they sold some of the toys, but have they?
I don't think they sold that many players.
Midfield heartbeat is that?
Ross Barkley. They've lost. They didn't sell it. I think he was going to go anyway, but they did sound really.
They got the best out of him.
They did, and I feel like he's been a massive, massive loss.
Yeah, that's exactly what I think.
And I feel like if they can keep Carlton Morris and Adebayo up top, thinking they could be in that top 6, and they probably will be, but I just feel like they could miss out just because maybe that spark might have gone, you know what I mean?
Yeah, however, I do think that as we're doing this now, I'm changing my mind. I'll put Luton to finish 5th.
But who finished 6th?
I'll put Borough to finish 6th.
Really?
Yeah,
What was that then?
I've got a strange feeling it's going to be Michael Carrick's last season in charge.
Well, I guess you got poached.
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel that Borough are capable of a lot more. They've got a great squad, and they just don't seem to get it over the line.
I've gone for the boys. Albion in 6th.
Have you?
I have indeed, and I feel like with Albion, it's going to be an interesting one because I know you've put them higher. I know it's going to be like you think, right, you're a fan of them, you're always going to put them higher, but Albion's lacking maybe something again. That's the reason we didn't get in the mix last season. We finished 5th place because again we missed that striker that we haven't realistically got, and we've lost a couple of key players this season, like Asante, your York, and your Connor Townsend, who are playing week in week out, and they're going to be massive losses to our team, and that's the reason why it could be debatably we finish lower.
Well, we'll come back to where I'll put them. What you up to next?
I've got my 5th.
Well, our 5th I'll put Luton, but you know what? I'm changing my mind because I rate their manager very, very highly.
Rob Edwards.
Yeah, really highly. But go on, who do you put 5th?
5th place. This is my pretty much out of nowhere one.
Go on.
QPR.
I could see why you've done that.
And actually, I think with Martin Cifuentes, he's got them playing. And I'll be honest with you that I completely disagree. I think they've spent really well in this transfer window, and I think they bring up the gems like last season. I think it's Frey up top. I really like the look of him. You know, the big ball block up top that run us ragged at points.
Foreign chap, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's
and Jimmy Dunn's come into his own. Of course, there's Sam Field. I feel like with Martin Cifuentes at the helm, they can keep hold of him and keep that form from last season. I know they've lost Sinclair Armstrong to Bristol City, but they can really, really do well this season.
I know. I'll be honest. As I've done this, I'm umming and ahhing because I can't pronounce the manager's name.
Cifuentes.
Yeah, but I hear nothing but good things about him, and he's changing the diet, the regimes are very. So it might be one, but again, it's all our own opinions, isn't it?
4th place.
I've gone Coventry. Yeah, which you know what that means, and I'll come back to it in a minute.
What's going on?
Well, if I put Coventry 4th,
yeah,
and I put Albion 3rd,
we'll go into it in a minute.
But yeah, go on. Who have you put them?
So you put Coventry 4th. Why is
4th,
that?
Yeah. I just think that if it wasn't for the cup last season, I think they'd have gone up. I think that all their efforts were focused on the cup, and I just think that. But now with the introduction of Thomas Asante, I actually think that they're going to just miss out slightly. But that's the one where I think, you know what, that could go up in automatic. But I'm just thinking they'll be there or thereabouts. Who you can put for 4th then?
In 4th place, I have gone for Leeds United to finish in 4th place, just because I feel like with them, let's be honest, they could easily 4th place. They could easily finish in the top 2. They can even finish out of the playoffs. And if they keep the likes of Nonto and Root out, I know they're going to lose Somerville to West Ham.
And they've sold. Who else was it now?
If they keep Ethan Ampadu.
No, there's another one. A young lad.
Somerville.
No, there's another one. He's
Archie Gray.
Archie Gray.
I said, yeah. I feel like with losing those key players, it'd be maybe a different side with Aronson coming in, who needs a lot to prove for Leeds. Leeds fan will be thoughts on that one. I thought Daniel Falk could do a decent job, and they could realistically be in that top 2. But
they just missed out, really, didn't they, last season?
Who you going for 3rd place?
I've gone for the Mighty Badgers in 3rd place. Yeah, but which means
just gonna miss out on also. What are you gone there? Be honest.
I just think that based on the teams I've put ahead of us, I think that by rights, if we're going to have a good season and improve, to improve upon where we were last season, we need to get in the playoffs at Wembley.
Yeah, I think you can notice. I've gone for third place. I've gone Burnley. I think you can all tell in the top 6, the managers have a massive part to play, and that's the reason why they're there. I feel like Scott Parker knows the league well. He's been up with Fulham. He's been up with Bournemouth. And I feel like he'll get this Burnley side playing, who have got some real good talent in their side.
Yeah. They haven't got rid of many of their players.
I don't think they have anyway. And I feel like if they keep the likes of Darrow saying the team, we can.
You say that he was supposed to be going.
He might be going to Ipswich, I've heard, and Brentford. But if they could keep the likes of them playing week in, week out, and I feel like if Sander Berge doesn't go, then realistically they can really, really push on. And I think if he gets Foster scoring goals like he did in that season when he was in the Championship, they'll have a top goal scorer on their hands here.
Isn't it strange when Burnley might be that they're too good for the Championship, but they're not got quite that.
A bit like most of the sides this season.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Right then, the top 2. Then this is where it gets big, baby.
Then?
I've gone for Coventry in second place.
Wow.
And that's because I feel like this season, again, a lot of people have tipped Coventry for promotion. And I've just said them just because, Dad, the likes of the signs of Asante, they've got Sakamoto on them who I really like.
Quality players,
I think the Japanese wing is really, really good player. And if they can keep Haji Wright fit every week in, week out, and he's happy scoring goals, he's a Prem player. Because you saw him against the Dingles, for example. I thought I'd mention that one. They look really good side, Coventry at points. I think Josh Eccles is a good little player. I think Ben Sheaf, they can keep him. He's a really good player.
And they've got a lot of stability there, haven't they? Mark Robbins has worked wonders, been there a few.
So I feel like they can really get in the top 2.
I might actually regret doing what I've done because as I'm listening to you, I've gone for Leeds in second place.
Leeds? Yeah, I can see why. I think it's the players and the manager, isn't it? Leeds.
Again, I know that
what's happened last season. I think right then we've got to push on now.
And I think right, we don't want to be losing that again. We are. So yeah. Which leads me to number 1 spot for you then. So EFL champion will be
Sheffield United. And this is because I completely disagree with you. This is a massive shout out of nowhere. Wow. I think with Sheffield United, they've got Chris Wilder, who knows the league. I know he didn't do well at Watford, but...
Are you telling me that's Chris Wilder who had a rant at the referee for each?
Yeah, I am, yeah. With Chris Wilder and Sheffield United, they've brought the lots of Callum O'Hare, Kiefer Moore, and I've known they lost a couple.
I like Kiefer Moore.
If they could keep Hamer and Adimovic, I feel like, I know I've butchered that by the way, I feel like the players they have in their squad, they could really push on, and especially by signing, I think it's Rod Saki from Crystal Palace, who's a really, really good winger on his day. They could really push on, and realistically speaking, if they didn't get into the playoffs, it would be a bad season.
Sorry to put in then. So the reason I've put down Sheffield United in 10th is because if they don't get off to a good start, so let's just say 6 or 7 games in, they haven't got some good points on the board, I think you'll find you'll get the boot. A lot of pressure down there.
There's a lot of pressure, and I feel like with the fans there, when you go to their place, Roman Lane, you know you're playing there because it's a really, really good atmosphere.
Last time we were there, they got promoted.
Exactly.
And you can see the love for them, but nothing against them. But
on to your first place?
Burnley.
Burnley?
Yeah.
And you're not a big fan of Burnley, are you?
I'm not going to say anymore. We've got to go there, don't forget. I just think that the team is relatively unchanged. If Scott Parker hasn't got to really change things too much.
He's a brilliant manager.
Yeah, but is he? If he is a brilliant manager, how come he's been out of work so long?
You're not wrong there, but in the Championship, I think he's a brilliant manager for what he brings to the table. Yeah, exactly. I feel like with Burnley, they've got a Premier League, not a Premier League squad, but a squad that's too good for the Championship, isn't it?
Yeah, like we said, but no, I think head and shoulders above everybody else. So
that's it then. And who's your playoff winners? I've gone for Albion, of course. I've
gone for Albion as well. Yeah.
I think that again, it's anyone's team in that.
But I'm looking forward to it.
I'm really looking forward to the season, guys.
I'll tell you something, right? It's all about expectations, isn't it? Every one of those teams, their supporters will be in disagreement with us. But I'll tell you something. Let's review this halfway through the season because that's the beautiful thing about football. All we do is we love football. We just happen to love the baggies, don't we?
Exactly, guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure if you can, put down in the comment section below, what was your league table? Do you agree with us? Do you disagree? I know there's going to be a couple that you do disagree with. But let's get your feedback on the videos because we really appreciate doing these, don't we, Dad?
Yeah, I would like to say we're welcoming back our viewers, and it's lovely to see
all the best to everyone in the new season.
Yeah, everybody stay safe. One thing I'll tell you what, if anybody can tell me who the winners of the Championship are going to be and they get it right, I will personally get something from the club shop.
Be a fair few, I reckon.
Yeah. No, the only reason I say that is because if you've watched this far...
Let's say the top 2.
Yeah, if you've watched this far, you deserve something.
Exactly. Thank you so much,
Top 2 for me, Burnley Leeds.
I'm going to go for Sheffield United, Cardiff and Albion to go up. Guys, thank you so much for watching this video. As always, make sure to like and subscribe if you can, Dad.
I'd say, yep, thank you very much for watching, and QPRE we come.
What time is it?
It's showtime! Right, now I'll put Blackburn Rovers down to finish 7th. Where did you put them?
Really? I put them second last. Why you put them 7th?
I think I just feel...